Nerdrotic.com.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome to the Nerdrotic Nooner. My name is Gary Beekler, and I come to you from Nerdrotic.com. And I am live in San Francisco, California. And I hope everyone is just having a splendid day. Howdy. Greetings, everyone. Well, that whole Doctor Who thing hasn't died out, hasn't it? And as I said in yesterday's live stream, the spin continues, and it is one of two things. It is, we gave you what you wanted. You wanted two-parters. You wanted villains, and we did that. And the other spin is, well, twofold. It's the fans' fault. It's obviously our fault. We don't know what we need. The BBC is going to give us what we want, or what they think we need, not what we want. So we don't want to do this evil fan service thing that has been cropping up since The Last Jedi. And it seems like the BBC has learned a little bit from Disney, but the early stages, not the later stages. And all they have to do is go over and look at the current state of Disney Star Wars and see what happens to a major franchise after they deconstruct it, vandalize it, exterminate the past. And Star Wars is a strong franchise. It can survive this, kind of. It will be around forever. Nobody's doubting that, but it will never be what it once was, and it'll slowly degrade and probably just fade away. And I am a firm believer in it's better to burn out than to fade away. And part of that burnout is pleasing your audience and going to that well, maybe one too many times, but at least after it dies out, you can go back and enjoy it. You guys might not remember this or realize this, but people my age will know that people were burned out on Star Wars after the original trilogy came out because, well, I mean, things were different. You know, it's a media blitz we get from every one of our properties now, but it was just different 30 years ago, and people were sick of Star Wars. They saw it everywhere, and they're just like, enough. And they had a little break, and they learned to appreciate it, and it didn't kill their love for it. They were just tired of it. This goes way beyond that. The Timeless Children is not The Last Jedi of Doctor Who, because it's worse. It's actually worse. People are getting angrier. It's been a week and a half since the show aired, and things aren't getting better. I'm getting more emails today than I did the day after it aired. My inbox is full of this stuff. I get the occasional Star Trek email too. Don't worry, that'll happen in a couple of weeks. Just remember where we were with Doctor Who Series 12 when we were at Orphan 55. People were just kind of, they didn't know. Well, some people didn't know what was coming. I did, and a few of you did out there. But honestly, knowing the rumor, I wasn't sure if it was going to be true. and I was hoping it wouldn't be true, and it was. And I probably should have known. It's that easy to figure out. I watched Az's brilliant rant this morning, his 45-minute rant. I highly recommend you watch it after you see this live stream. I can even link it for you later. And it's very eloquent and filled with anger. And I don't even have time. I'm right there with you, Az. I don't have time for anybody who wants to go, why do you care? This is such a first world problem. I do care because I like this show and I'm a nerd. And I've always addressed that if you have to ask me why I care about something, honestly, it's none of your business why I care so much, and go about your merry day. If you don't care about Doctor Who that much, then go on. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. But I will. Are there bigger problems in the world? Certainly. Am I sitting in bed at night going, Doctor Who? No, I'm not. Sleep like a baby. But I think we need to stay angry about this, and I don't know if it's going to help. The BBC is an aloof organization. I do believe it's time to sack the BBC, and I've learned a little bit more about how it works over there. And it's not that different than unplugging, something I did from the cable companies back in 2013. I unplugged from the cable companies, which, if you're not familiar over here, the cable companies would, they bundled the channels and you paid like $80, and then they started, upping the fees about $20 a year. By the time I cut it, it wasn't $20 a year. It was like $5 a year. And it was like $20 in total over 4 years. Comcast here in San Francisco raised my rates. So I just said enough. I wasn't really watching that much TV, and streaming had just come around and Netflix was around. And honestly, I was reading comic books at the time, and I unplugged, and I haven't gone back. And I don't, the reason I kept it was the live coverage, the news and sports. Well, my sports ball team moved out of my city, so I didn't care anymore. And I got sick of the news. The news was just, it was fear porn. It was constant fear porn all the time. And it was one side of the aisle and then the other side of the aisle, and one side of the aisle and the other side of the aisle. Well, honestly, it's one side of the aisle, and then the other side gets kind of represented on one network. And I got sick of it. I got sick of the lies. And I got sick of the mainstream media constantly spinning and lying. So I don't watch it anymore. I don't watch a second of live news, and I go about my merry day. I don't stress about it. I worry about what's in my world, and I try to do the best I can. And it's been great. So with the BBC, I guess, as long as your TV's plugged in, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, get rid of it. If you don't feel like it's representing you in any way, shape, or form, or if Doctor Who was the last show you're watching, I know you can watch other shows from the BBC without the BBC, because I've done it. I've done it a lot. So that's the only way we're going to get through. The BBC might say they don't need money, but they do. These things cost money. And if we disrupt their revenue flow, maybe they'll change their mind. And if they won't change their mind, maybe they're not necessary anymore. Is the BBC necessary? Is it really necessary to get one side of the news all the time? I guess if it reaffirms your belief in your belief system, sure. But what about everybody else? And the point, I'm not the only one who's brought this up, but you have to bring this up. If one side is going to do it, then that sets precedent for the other side to do it. So if you're sitting there going, man, it's perfect, you're letting your side, it's okay that they're doing all this stuff, and then you bitch when the other side does it. For example, Disney. Disney was confronted by one of their investors during the investors meeting, the conference call, I'm not sure what it was. And somebody, Bob Chapek, the new CEO, somebody confronted him about the bias towards the president and towards a political party. And he brushed it off. He brushed it off like it was nothing. Well, The CEO, the former CEO of Disney was Bob Iger. He's still there. He's a creative CEO. He has presidential aspirations. He is in charge of one of the biggest media companies on the planet. They control a lot of information. And he is going to be competing against that party sometime soon. And I'm not talking politics. I don't care about Republican or Democrat. I'm neither. Like I said, I'm not right wing. I'm not left wing. But you guys are the wings beneath the wind beneath my wings. So Bob Iger has been running a constant campaign against that one party, and then he's going to run for president. Nobody has a problem with that. Of course they don't. If they're on that side, they don't have a problem with it. But they would certainly have a problem with it if it was the other way around. Well, someday it will be. Someday it will be. I would say we're experiencing the other way around right now. Back in the 90s, I didn't think it would be like this. I didn't think that the left would be acting like the PMRC, but they are. Not everybody, okay? Not everybody. But as a centrist, that's the way I see it. And we are now seeing it pushed through all of our narratives. And Doctor Who is exhibit A through Z of the vandalization, of the vindictive vandalization of our mythos. It is proof that they don't care about making money, that the agenda is the priority, because it's not a good business decision. What they're doing right now is not a good business decision. If they wanted to actually make money with Doctor Who, they would have cast a younger doctor, or one who was more capable, who had more gravitas, more charisma, instead of making this lazy choice of choosing somebody who had worked with Chibnall before. I am not afraid to say that I am not for a female doctor. I mean, I could have been convinced. I'm not against being convinced with good writing. I could be convinced of anything. I am completely for, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating the argument, I am for a brand new show with a female lead that you want to put some time and investment in, that I would certainly check out, that takes place in that universe. The other spin we hear is from the Access Media, and it's also woven within the narrative of the Timeless Children, and we'll go over the ending a little bit, is in that ending when the first female doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker, is talking to the first female doctor of color, played by Jill Martin. They're talking about the doctor's memories. The memories are the canon of the show, the past of the show. And the first female doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker, is trying to reconcile the fact that she's got a bunch of memories she doesn't remember. And the first female doctor of color, played by Jill Martin, says, well, does it really matter? Does it really change what you are? Does canon really matter? It doesn't matter. And that's what we're hearing from some of the Jodie bots, is canon doesn't matter. Okay, all right, canon doesn't matter. So if it doesn't matter, why didn't you just reboot the show? Why not just reboot the show? Go end Doctor Who, and we'll start a new one, and we'll say this is a new timeline. It's a different universe, or this is the established one. You can say this is the main one, and that one was an alternate one. And we're going to start from scratch, and we're going to change the origin a little bit, and we're going to start the Doctor out as female. Why not do that? Certainly some Whovians would be upset, but it would be hard to argue that, hey, you had your show, we ended it, you got your 50 years, and now we're going to try something different with a brand new show and a brand new timeline. Again, initially, you might not like it, I might not like it, but it's hard to argue against that. And it would show that we want to, do something with a female actress. We want to, put something behind her. Now, again, I would rather they do a new character, but why not just reboot the show if canon doesn't matter? Because it does. They don't want to get rid of the canon. They want to somehow reconcile it in their brain, just like the Doctor was. So they need to change it to make it okay for some trend that's going on in 2020 that people are going to cringe about in 2030 or 2025. Everything that's going on right now is nothing more than a fashion trend. It's fashionable for some to be woke, to feel woke. That's it. It's like a pair of pants. It's like Jeremy's ripped jeans that went out of style. Well, were they ever in style? Okay, so let's just say they were in style at one time. It's like Jeremy's ripped jeans. That's all these are. It's a mullet. It's a fracking mullet. So they sold out the fandom. They sold out the Whovians. They betrayed us. They sold us out, and they berated us. They've been vindictive through the narrative and outside the narrative. Chris Chibnall, I understand why he doesn't give a lot of interviews. He is not the most charming person. Moffat is charming. Russell T Davies is pure charm. And you need to have that to write Doctor Who. You can't be a stiff and write Doctor Who. You can be a stiff and write dramas like Broadchurch. I mean, joyless dramas can be written by stiffs. Alex Kurtzman and Chris Chibnall are the same person. They're good. Well, I'm not going to say they're good. They can write if some people like, I'm trying to work because I don't like any of the shit they do. Some people like what they do in the drama department. But when it comes to science fiction, and especially when it comes to Doctor Who is not just science fiction. Actually, I think it's science fantasy more than anything. But you need to have that British wit, that Douglas Adams British wit, that Russell T Davies British wit. The show had it for years. So now it's an unfun practice in edutainment, as Clownfish TV calls it. And it's just more important to get these woke points, the virtue signaling in. Did you realize, because I did a video on this, there was a character, her last name was Khan, I believe. If I get her last name wrong, forgive me. She's a real life person who was, I believe, a code breaker for the British in World War II, and she was in France, and she was basically a spy. And they used her as a plot point in one of the episodes, and she helped the Doctor escape, and they had a scene where they had these 3 amazing women, 2 from real history, with the Doctor fighting the Nazis. Uh-oh. It looks like I stopped up a little bit there. Let me know if it stopped. Okay, it looked like it stopped for a second. But so the Doctor, this woman helps the Doctor, and the Doctor didn't feel it was important to mention that this poor woman was about to get caught by the Nazis, tortured, and executed. So if you don't know who this character was, and you're watching Doctor Who, and then you go look this heroic character up from history, again, it's not different from what they did with the Watchmen. And you see what a terrible end she had. You would think, well, the Doctor had to know that. And I'm sure you could say fixed point in time, but they didn't even bring it up. They didn't even bring it up. I would call that exploitation. They just wanted to get the virtue signal, and they didn't think about it beyond that. And again, I've done a video on it. It's the worst form of exploitation, and it's how low they are willing to go so they can get a little pat in the butt at one of their cocktail parties. A metaphorical pat in the butt. Of course, if that happened, they would scream bloody murder. Well, it probably does happen, to be honest with you. But so we got a couple of articles we're going to go over. It's sunny. It's sunny here in San Francisco. It's weird. It's kind of a ghost town out there. I went out and did some adulting stuff. And we will start with, let's see who's here first. And then we're going to go to the Radio Times article. Hi, Starry-Eyed Girl. Thank you for being here. And your wrench, Jesse Anderson Pender. What's up? Stella Maria. Thomas Williams. Okay, I'm reconnecting. Why is it doing that? All right, I'm going to disconnect in a second. I'm still here. There we go. Yeah, it's I don't know. OBS is acting weird right now, but we'll see. All right, so again, Ginger Hosley, Rural, Mikey Gusler, Flashy Vic, Stellar Heather, Keck44, Google User, and Apocrypha, Darth Scipio, John Oil. And I skipped a little bit, but it's going to come back. Hopefully it doesn't do that again. Sometimes it doesn't in the starting of the live stream, and it's annoying. But I'm still here. Don't worry. I see it still working. I'm still here. Okay. It's the BBC, man. I'm out to get them. They can't stop me. They can't stop me. It's time to sack the BBC. It is time to sack the BBC. And thank you all for being here. And let's get to this article. Now, a couple of people showed me this on Twitter. I have not read it. We're going to read it together. I don't know how zoomed in it is, though. So we'll have to see here. We'll keep Jody on there. Let's keep Jody up there. Oh, why did it do that? Okay, there we go. All right. Do lower ratings spell trouble for Doctor Who, or is the future still bright? Jodie Whittaker's latest series has recorded a decline in viewing figures. Decline? Falling off a cliff, but we can use the word decline. That's fine. But fans shouldn't be worried about what's next for Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. I don't think we're worried. Is anybody worried? Is anybody ever worried that her and the fam are in trouble? There's no stakes in the show. It's stupid. The ratings for Doctor Who's latest series are in. And for any Who fan, they make for a slightly sobering read. Figures for the BBC sci-fi drama are down generally from the last series. Generally. Significantly, Radio Times, you shill. With the 7-day figures now included, the series finale, Timeless Children, attracted 4.69 million, down considerably. There you go. That's more like it. From the 6.48 million consolidated who watched the 2018 finale, The Battle of Razkur of Kolos. In fact, while the Timeless Children's 3.78 overnight figures were higher than many other episodes in recent series, the 4.69 7-day rating is actually surprisingly the lowest 7-day viewing figure the series has had since Doctor Who was revived in 2005. For comparison, 2017's The Doctor Falls had a 3.75 million overnight, but a 5.6 million 7-day rating. So what's the story behind the lower ratings? You tell us, Radio Times. Tell us what the story is. Because we don't know. We have no idea. I have no idea why people have completely checked out of this show. Funniest thing. It must be an accident. And do they actually mean Doctor Who is in danger of being taken off TV anytime soon? Well, the truth is complicated. It actually isn't, but let's go ahead and follow Radio Times logic. Let's have a little unthought experiment, an experiment in not thinking, or an experiment in mental gymnastics. That's more accurate. An experiment in mental gymnastics. It's obviously undeniable that the ratings are down this series compared to Jodie Whittaker's first adventures, which attracted a huge number of viewers. However, it's worth noting that these ratings were themselves a big step up from Peter Capaldi's final series in 2017. Wow, we're comparing it to Capaldi in 2017, the year everybody thought it might get canceled. And our good friend Az has pointed out that they are not exactly being honest with this. And let's go. You can see the overnights for all 4 most recent series in a handy graph below created by TV Zone, and we're bucking a general downward trend in recent Doctor Who. I'm going to go ahead a little bit. Isn't it interesting? Starry-eyed girl, you can back me up on this one. Remember every time we brought up the overnight ratings, they're all, you're not considering the consolidated ratings. You're not considering the consolidated ratings. You're being disingenuous. You're not considering them. They didn't consider the consolidated ratings on this. Okay. Well, listen, we've gone over a lot of charts, and again, Az has done a pretty good video on how Capaldi was doing better than Jody because he was getting more in the consolidated ratings, over 1 million, and Jody couldn't even get 1 million on the last episode. Let's see if they go into the context too. Let's see if they, because I don't know. Let's see if they talk about the fact that this was a doctor origin story. This should have been the most viewed episode of all time, without a doubt. If Capaldi was in this episode, oh man, I should have named the damn live stream this. Maybe I'll just name my next video this. If Jodie Whittaker were a bloke, she'd be sacked by now. But let's see if they get into the context. Ratings. Doctor Who overnight ratings for Series 9, 10, 11, and 12. Note, both Part 1 and Part 2 of Series 12 finale rated higher than Series 10 counterparts. Obviously, overnights do not tell the whole story, and we'll get a better look in the next 7 days, which of course they didn't bring up. Guess what else they are not bringing up? For Series 10, let me see if they do bring up. I don't want to jump ahead now. Let's just do that. It's not like for like. Oh, that's good. They bring it up. Capaldi Series 10 was in the spring on Saturdays, a tougher slot compared to Whittaker's 2 winter series on a Sunday night. But if this latest series had come right after Series 10, the ratings drop would be significantly less noticeable. In fact, the overnights are generally healthier in the Whittaker era, possibly due to the move to Sunday nights. That's not anything bolstering your argument. That means people were home and they were bored and they were watching it. It actually is a credit to Peter Capaldi that more people decided to watch it later, despite, because a lot of people obviously heard that the episode was crap and didn't want to waste their time. And they probably checked in early on in the season, and the ratings show that because the ratings were higher, and they had just had enough. Capaldi's Series 10 was after a year-long break. A year-long break. They were also introducing a new companion, Bill. And Series 10 was woke. Peter Capaldi gave us a good performance. I honestly can't remember more than maybe 2 episodes from that season. They were just completely forgettable. Sorry, I like Capaldi. Season 10 sucked. It sucked. It led to this. Wasn't his fault. Wasn't the man's fault. And if a Jamie Matheson had come on and written for Capaldi or anybody else really, I think it would have been a lot better. But you would have to make believe it was 2010 and not 2019 or 18. Maybe really Whittaker's first series was the blip. Really? A big influx of people curious about the new casting of the Doctor. Wow. And now things are settling down again to about the level you'd expect for a 15-year-old reboot of nearly 60-year-old TV show. Man, I am going to bring up some of their old articles. Because, wow, this is like a come to Jesus moment for the Radio Times. The below chart created by George Shard gives a helpful demonstration of the using averages. George, yeah, so a chart that you copied off of the Google fans. And remember, right here, this 7.9 million is all due to a 10 million view episode, and it was all down after that. It's not as simple as saying, oh wait, okay. It's not as simple as saying that fans clearly don't like the show anymore and have stopped watching it. I think it's that simple. I think it's really that simple. This has been a gradual decline since 2015 or earlier. It was a gradual decline until the last episode. and we'll show you the ratings. It fell off a cliff. It lost almost 50% of its audience from the first episode of this season in the UK. It lost 150,000 overnight viewers from penultimate episode to finale. People didn't care. This was a doctor origin story. And in a landscape where fewer young people than ever are watching BBC shows, wait a minute, I thought the BBC said this was a family show and that more girls were watching. Or no, that's not exactly how they worded it. They worded it that more younger women we grew our younger female audience. I'm going to have to find that article again. And audiences are being eaten up by big budget sci-fi dramas on platforms like Netflix. Doctor Who was always going to struggle. Why? Why did it always have to struggle? I love this defeatist attitude that you're starting to hear from the creative, quote unquote, the repurposers out there. You can't satisfy anyone. We're always going to struggle. These people are professionals in charge of a TV show. The glory days of David Tennant et al. Were in a different TV landscape. And if the 10th Doctor touched down now, it seems likely he'd command anything he wouldn't go. Whoa. What? The glory days of David Tennant et al. Were in a different TV landscape. And if the 10th Doctor touched down now, it seems unlikely he'd command anything close to the ratings he did over a decade ago. Bullshit. 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 Okay. Here's how you're full of shit. David Tennant was very popular over here. And when he landed at the BBC, it was very difficult for Americans to catch it. You had to have a certain cable package, or it had to be on BBC, or I can't remember on 2005, to be honest with you, how you were watching it. But it wasn't on Netflix until 2009. And it was because of Netflix it got popular. Netflix was around back then. Bullshit. Actually, David Tennant created this. It got big because of him. And as more people were aware of his series and watched it, his popularity grew even after he was gone. It hit in the States. I'd say it was at its zenith during the 50th anniversary. That was Matt Smith's era, but it was because of David Tennant. Matt Smith was popular over here too, very popular over here. Don't get me wrong. And there was a ton of young people watching your show. I know because I was selling them comic books. I was seeing the little tykes come in my comic book store with their freaking sonic screwdrivers, or they would come in and buy sonic screwdrivers from me because I was one of the only places in San Francisco or in Northern California you could actually find one on a regular basis. Before, there was a time when Toys R Us, when it was around, did have Doctor Who toys and Walgreens, but that was way after I was selling them. And there was other comic shops in the Bay Area, but they had like a little section. I was so deeply in love with this show. I gave Doctor Who a ton of square footage that I probably shouldn't have in a comic store that was focused on superheroes, but I made an entire wall Doctor Who selling. I just knocked something over. It's all right. Selling these. Tons of these. The batteries are dead on this. And the figures and everything else. I actually have a couple of crates of these. I need to get batteries in it because obviously the batteries are dead. But yes. And this is not the 50th anniversary edition. I think this is the 9th Doctor. But yeah. Tons of these. I was selling them at $25 a pop, and I couldn't keep them in stock. Here in the States, selling them to all shapes and sizes. And that was because of David Tennant's performance. It wasn't because of anything else. And the access to Netflix helped. But if you're saying that David Tennant, if he landed now, it would be just as popular. It would be just as popular because his performance and that era of Doctor Who transcends time. That's why it's still popular. This crap that you're selling us now, and and that, oh my God, trying to stay relevant, you're making it irrelevant. You're just following a trend and you're a couple of years behind. Such garbage. That is the dumbest spin out of this entire argument. Sorry. Again, I'm reading this article for the first time, and wow. In fact, arguably for Doctor Who's latest series to be almost maintaining the ratings set 3 years ago isn't a bad achievement. Oh. Oh my God. Oh. Man, they are on the knob right now. I hope they have a lot of chapstick. Okay. In fact, arguably, Doctor Who's latest series to be almost maintaining the ratings set 3 years ago isn't a bad achievement considering what a drop there was between Capaldi's 2015 and 2017 series. The drop was they started getting woke. They started injecting PC politics. That was the drop. It was the BBC's involvement in the show. And delays. I do believe, God, how many times was Capaldi only delayed once? I can't remember. Now. I know 2015, 2016. I know there's a big year break between one of his seasons now. I think it was between 9 and 10. That doesn't help, ever. Even when you're going good, you take those long breaks. Then again, the fact that the consolidated ratings are dropping could be a concern as it goes against the common defense we hear for lower TV ratings as a whole, specifically that more people watch on catch-up or on demand, so overnights are an outdated measurement. That's what you were telling us for the longest time. You were telling us the consolidated ratings. And while they were still sinking, you were in denial about that. The trend was starting at the beginning of Series 11. There was a curiosity factor. You brought everybody in on the clickbait. You brought in a female doctor, and the female doctor just acted like a dude. That was it. It's not really a female doctor. Other than a couple of, constant shaming, but, talking about her knickers in one episode, or if I was a bloke, and I think that was when the Witchfinders. Yeah, it doesn't really get brought up that much until Lord Byron hit on the doctor. Yeah, she just acts like a bloke. And as I said earlier, if Jodie Whittaker was a bloke, she'd be sacked by now, or he'd be sacked by now. So they're willing to lose money, and they're losing money on this. There's no way they're making money on this at all. But they can because they have that constant revenue stream. Hopefully the British public can do something about that. Look, it's easy for me over here in the States to say, yeah, get rid of your license. But, if you can't, you can't. I understand. For Doctor Who, the overnights are actually telling a slightly more positive story, which could be interpreted as uncertain viewers no longer being tempted after the fact. Alternatively, the fact that the show is on Sunday nights now could suggest that people are less likely to miss the show when it airs compared to when it was on Saturday nights. Meaning, overnights stay healthy even as viewers depart, with the shortfall more evident in catch-up. That would be a logical argument if 6 million, or, if, say, the consolidated numbers were at 6 million, 7 million. They're below 5 million now. So you have to ask yourself, if you're the BBC, that organization that doesn't care about success or making money, does it want to give a prime slot to a show that rates lower than the show that precedes it and the show that follows it? There's a dip in ratings with Doctor Who. I forgot what's on after it, but Country File is the great Country File that I was just giving a little shit to. I don't hate it. I just thought it was funny that there's a show called Country File in the British countryside and it all looks the same. But I'm a spoiled American. We have a lot of, we have the desert and we have all kinds of stuff over here. So I'm just giving you guys a hard time. Perfectly lovely show. And it just shows how different of a country you are, because a show like that would be watched by 10 people over here. Just kidding. Maybe 12. But I did watch it before Doctor Who, and it was better than Doctor Who by far. So not disrespecting Country File. Hell, Country File. But what does this all actually mean for Doctor Who? It's not as simple as the ratings are down, so the Doctor will be canceled. Well, of course it's not that simple, because you get a bunch of guaranteed money. It would be that simple over here. If a show had fallen that hard, the best they might do here in the States, because it's been on for 15 years, is they'll go, we'll give you one more season to say goodbye. We'll give you a half a season, and we'll air it in the middle of summer. Like they did to, what was it, Timeless or something? They gave it a special and they aired it in the middle of summer. As for the publicly funded BBC, there's an interesting question about exactly what ratings are for beyond bragging rights. Whoa! What are ratings for? Bragging rights. Oh. Did Radio Chimes just insinuate that viewers don't matter? I think Radio Times just insinuated that viewers don't matter. It's just there for bragging rights. Obviously, they need to make TV that people want to watch, but that goes right against what you just said. I'm convinced this person's on drugs. But which people? Well, I mean, obviously, you don't want all of us ist and phobes watching. I mean, you made that very clear. At a recent event, BBC drama boss Piers Wanger, he's got a wanger, Piers Wanger, made the point that Doctor Who fulfills a need for family programming, so it just fills a slot. It essentially fills a slot. Well, I mean, that would explain the writing, that it just fills a slot. I could make a joke. I mean, I don't know what preference Piers Wanger is, but in concern, when it comes to filling a slot, maybe that's how Mrs. Wanger feels. He's just filling a slot. Okay, that was low. I don't know if he, or Mr. Wanger. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. We don't judge here. Fills a slot and said that they were far from wanting to rest the show. Well, of course they're going to say that the day after the ratings crash. I don't think they were expecting people still to be mad a week and a half later. I wasn't expecting it. I thought apathy would have just crept in and people would have just been done. But they went back and exterminated the entire past of Doctor Who. Now, I hope people have stopped with the spin. I really do. Brain of Morbius. Noel just tweeted that, I mean, there's example after example that contradicts the Brain of Morbius, which is solidified canon over a loophole. And I've made this argument before. Watch the Bulls Trek video on it. It doesn't work. They thought it would, and it might work to a lot of Google fans and Tumblr fans out there, but not with fans who have been with the show for a long, long time. Now, again, there are the channels and fans out there who have little TARDISes on their logo or in their name for their YouTube channel, so they're going to rah-rah whenever they need to, because that's what their entire channel is based on. I wouldn't do that personally, but I mean, all right. It's also not just funded by the BBC. It's funded by lots of international partners, including HBO Max. Oh, by the way, we will get to HBO Max in a minute. It's an incredibly important show for younger audiences. Not necessarily, because earlier in this article, you just stated that young people weren't watching it as much. You insinuated that. So it's important for the, 5 youngsters that are watching this, probably sitting down with their parents. It's still watched by families in the world where there are fewer and fewer shows that have the power to do that. Well, that's a conscious decision by Hollywood and the BBC to write nihilist, bleak entertainment that families don't want to sit through. So it will always be an important show for us, and I think we're a very long way from wanting to rest it. Here in the States, I don't know if it is, if it's the same for your sports ball teams, but when it comes to sports ball, you get the what's called the vote of confidence. So when the owner of the sports ball team, when the team is struggling, and everybody wants the coach's head, the GM or the owner will come out and go, give him that vote of confidence. We fully believe in Norv Turner, and we're going to give him, we're 110% behind him, and then they generally get fired within a year after that vote of confidence. That's what that was right there. We're a long way from resting the show. I mean, what's a long way? 2 years? 3 years? HBO Max is one of those foreign investors. HBO Max is not the BBC. HBO Max wants a return on their investment. And I'm sure the other foreign investors do. Your IP has been devalued by your writer, Chris Chibnall. I hope you realize that. Do you not realize that? By making nothing matter, then the show doesn't matter. And it's not an important show for families anymore. It used to be. I used to watch it with my family. But my kids dipped out a long time ago. I'll get to you guys in a second. Notable. Okay, so we got 6 top BBC dramas for 2019, 16 to 34 out of the top 10 dramas across the channel. Line of Duty, Luther, Peaky Blinders, Doctor Who, His Dark Materials, Call the Midwife. Now that's dramas. That's not shows. That's scripted dramas. So I don't know what the top 10 shows are. But I'm guessing Doctor Who is not in the top 10. I'm guessing Dancing on Ice, or what the hell. We have the Masked Singer over here, where somebody dresses up, like a, I don't know, would you guys remember the San Diego Chicken? Does anybody remember the San Diego Chicken? He was pretty famous for a while. Yeah, you dress up like that, and you sing, and somebody guesses who you are. Notably, in terms of attracting 16 to 34-year-olds to the BBC drama, Doctor Who was the 4th most successful show, jumping ahead of a series like Death in Paradise, Silent Witness, and Call the Midwife, despite their higher overall ratings. Different people are watching Doctor Who than are watching these shows. So why wouldn't you want to keep this broad? Why would you want to keep this broad church? More practically, as Pierce Wanger also pointed out, Doctor Who's funding comes from other sources beyond the BBC alone. For example, the commercial arm, BBC Studios, and compared to most other shows, it has a dedicated fan base keen to buy DVDs and merchandise and attend events. We will address that later. From these avenues, Doctor Who as a show offers opportunities other BBC series with bigger ratings don't. At time of writing, you can't buy a DS Steve Arnott action figure, no matter how many millions tune in to Line of Duty every week. Doctor Who fans are engaged in a way few other shows are. So it's not as simple as saying there are fewer of them watching, so the series should be canned. Actually, it is. That is the lead indicator of the popularity of your show. A show that draws 7 to 8 million people on average in the United Kingdom is a show worthy of making toys for. If you've noticed, they don't make as many toys as they used to. They used to make complete action figure lines. They've stopped doing that a long time ago. They brought in the 3 3/4 inch action figures. They did away with that. Now they just do specialty figures from older molds. They're just basically repaints. And those aren't selling as well either. David Tennant toys are still collectible. Older stuff is still collectible. Nobody wants Jodie figures. Nobody wants a Jodie Sonic. The only people who are wearing Jodie cosplay are YouTubers. And I saw one person wearing it at New York Comic Con. One. One. And I saw 2 people wearing it at San Diego Comic-Con. There was 250,000 people there. 250,000 people. I saw 2. Now, I might have missed a couple, but I was looking. And this is a place where you could, 1 out of every 10 people had a bow tie on at one time, or there was a TARDIS dress. No longer. I did see 2 women dressed up as Capaldi at New York Comic Con, and they look great, by the way. They're freaking fantastic. So from these, so these days, people like to say ratings don't matter. And in a lot of ways, they don't. All of a sudden, they don't matter. But they mattered on that first episode. Didn't they? Didn't they matter? Isn't that, that's why we're here. That first episode is why we're here. While some shows do still command big audiences, for the most part, our viewing is fragmented and split across multiple channels and platforms, while TV also competes for our attention with the attractions of the internet. The power of overnight ratings has diminished, and there are other ways to judge a show as a success, particularly in the non-advertising based BBC. Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. Go to anything praising Doctor Who, or go to the Doctor Who website itself. Look at its views on its videos compared to 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Significantly down. Significantly down. Look at any channel that praises the show. Is there any growth there? There's a lot of places you can go and see it's right out. Go to your local Walgreens here in the States. Do you find any Doctor Who action figures anymore? I thought we're supposed to believe women. Well, why don't we believe in this show to carry they only produce a couple of action figures. They produce a Jodie one. Why don't they carry it? Because they used to carry stuff. Barnes & Noble was the one retail place where you could find Doctor Who DVDs, Blu-rays, and toys. They had a Doctor Who section. That section no longer exists. And the DVDs are now put into the United Kingdom BBC section. Doctor Who used to have its own section. Funny thing is, the card, the title card that they would have, never had Jodie on it. Not in my neck of the woods. I have 3 Barnes and Nobles near me. I used to go to them constantly to go look for Doctor Who stuff. With that said, though, ratings do tend to start to matter if the show is doing well in them. For example, in Jodie Whittaker's first series, when the big leap in viewers was well published by the BBC, and the bad PR of making a show that fewer and fewer people are watching is the flip side to that, even if you're not losing money on the show itself. But I don't think this is the case for Doctor Who. And in my opinion, it seems unlikely that this dip in ratings is anyway close to the end of the series. Well, no, because we're going to get another season. But what are you going to say next year when they dip below 3 million? Because they will. I promise you they will. They will be at all-time lows next season. You will naturally lose viewers because you're going to take longer than a year, and apathy is going to set in. Was The Last Jedi not a good enough example for you? Apparently not, because Star Trek is doing it too. Unfortunately, Doctor Who is now going to be the worst example of this. The worst example of get woke, go broke. And we're just going to have to be patient. And when season 13 comes out, and do you think they got rid of the numbering for the Doctor because they didn't want the 13th Doctor and the 13th season to be the end of the show? It's just something to consider. But why is my alarm going off? Sorry about that. If nothing else, it's hard to think of any sort of replacement that would bring in millions of viewers, attract young audiences, and create a whole world of commercial opportunities at a stroke. For a while yet, the Doctor seems safe from that experiment. Okay, here's where you're dead wrong, and I'll tell you why. These shows like these are very expensive to produce. Merchandise is very expensive to produce, so you need to have that constant revenue stream. The BBC was printing money with Doctor Who for a while, and they got cocky. They thought they could do whatever they want with this show. They took the Whovians for granted. That's what the Disney Star Wars did as well. And you're going to pay the price on this one. Because when you fuck with somebody's childhood, you risk... Now I'm back. Okay. So, the biggest mistake they made is if you wanted people to like Jodie, I don't think it would have helped. Because ultimately, she's not a good doctor. Her performance is weak. When you put her up against any... I guarantee you that's why they didn't put her up with John Barrowman. I mean, he would just bury her. He would chew up her scenery. But if you wanted to show that you're trying to mend fences, instead of being vindictive, send Jodie out to the cons. Have her kissing babies and shaking hands and taking pictures with fans. Not charging, by the way. Don't charge a penny for that. Don't charge for autographs. Go out there for free. And go on a press tour, on a good press tour. It's far too late for that, by the way. It's far too late. I think the large portion of the fan base wants Chibnall's head, metaphorically. I think he needs to go. And I think Jodie needs to go with him. If you want to save your show right now, you need to fire Jodie Whittaker. You need to or sack, I'll use your terminology. You need to sack Jodie Whittaker. You need to sack Chris Chibnall and start from scratch. Or just die. I mean, that's what's going to happen. The show's just going to die. Justice for Hartnell. You're damn right, Tim F. Disrespecting William Hartnell's legacy is going to stick with the fandom for a long, long time. So you need to undo that immediately. Apologize to the fans. That's the same thing I said to Disney Star Wars. It's not going to happen, but I'm telling them, you want to make fans happy? Admit you made a mistake. We got a little cocky. We want to fix this. And then you can probably make your millions again. But at this article, I just got rid of it. But at the end, it basically says, well, it's going to be really hard to find a show where you make millions of dollars and can do merchandise. Really, no, it's impossible now. You cannot create a franchise in today's environment like Doctor Who, like Star Trek, Star Wars. It can't be done because of because the way entertainment is right now. It's driven by bankers. It's driven by giant corporations. It's impossible to be that creative and to have that strong of a singular creative force is what these franchises need at the beginning to carry this through. And the fact that Doctor Who wasn't the biggest thing in the world and it was part of British culture for a long time and it didn't get tainted by the corporations in the U.S. And yeah, I believe that. I think that factors into it too. That's why it lasted for so long, and you can't do it. But the BBC could replace Doctor Who with some reality show or some singing show or X Factor 2.0, which costs nothing to make, and they would make crap loads of money off that. More money than they would make off of Doctor Who. There was you got a high return off of Doctor Who at one point, but you had to put a ton of money into it. And the merchandising isn't selling. I know this for a fact. Okay. So you can, I'm glad the Radio Times put in my opinion on this one because that's where I have a lot of people. I know a lot of people in merchandising and it is not doing well. They're worried. People are going to be losing their jobs soon. And the beer bug is not helping things. They're having trouble getting things out of China. What little they had. A bunch of stuff is going to be delayed now. Big Chief is going to have a bunch of stuff delayed. And they've had problems already getting stuff out. Yeah. And Big Finish is going to suffer the worst. And that's who I feel bad for is Big Finish. The only thing that can change this is the fans and the older doctors and older producers and other actors from the show and the other companions absolutely refusing to take part in this at this point. But to say that publicly would piss off so many fans. So I imagine a lot of them will just stay mum on this. And that might be the best course of action. That's what I would recommend, because then you wouldn't piss off the BBC and you wouldn't piss off the fandom. I would stay very silent on this issue if you want to still collect money at cons. But those cons, they're not going to be as populated as they have been in the past. The attendance will decrease. It has been. I can't imagine. I think the next Doctor Who convention, whenever that is, will be very interesting. How people deal with this. Maybe it'll be like Star Trek. It'll be 4,000 people who love Star Trek. Well, not everybody that loves Star Trek Discovery. There was a contingent of Star Trek Discovery fans that was about maybe a quarter of the audience who was there. And again, it was 4,000 people. That's nothing. Again, go to San Diego Comic-Con and you see 250,000 people in one place, and you compare it to Star Trek Las Vegas, and it's pathetic. It's pathetic. And I don't know. I wouldn't recommend. I always recommend going to Vegas, but I don't know about Star Trek Las Vegas. So yeah, the actors are at a crossroads. The fandom is pissed off. And the BBC could give two shits about any of it. But they will. But it's going to be too late. I mean, they're so aloof. They just don't give a shit about us. But they will. A couple years from now, they're going to go, oh, what happened? Nobody's watching the show. I wonder why. Let's get to you guys. Sorry, that was a long one, but fuck, I'm mad. I'm so mad about this. It is 2017 all over again, but worse. Damn it, that disconnection. I lose 100 viewers every time it disconnects. I wonder if it was me kicking this cord. I'm a fidgety person, so it might have been me. Trek Dog for £5.49. Hail, Gary. Please rate the last 4 Star Trek Picard episodes out of 10. Maybe I missed that in your live videos. Next Generation, Facepalm, Star Trek Picard, Face Ripoff. The last 4 episodes, I don't know if I graded them or not. I would say, I got to look, what was the 4th episode? 4 out of 10. 3 out of 10, 3 out of 10, and 2 out of 10. The last episode was garbage. It's terrible. It's terrible. I listen, I tried to watch a couple of channels last night that are pro Star Trek Picard. They're not bad guys. They're not bad guys. They're having the hardest time. They are having the hardest time with this. You can see it in their faces. They're like, yeah, I like it. It's good. It's good. It's Star Trek. It's got the letters STAR space TREK. I like it. Don't say you don't like it. It's the only thing I've got. It's sad to watch. It really is. It's okay not to like it. I mean, you don't want to enable shit like this. Kurtzman is terrible. He's as bad as Chibnall. They just haven't gotten to Kirk yet. But they got to Spock. The thing is, nobody watched it. Nobody saw what they did to Spock in Star Trek Discovery, or a lot more people would be pissed off. I mean, it's one thing for me to describe it to you. It's another thing to see it. To see that they brought back Spock just to be a supporting character for Michael Burnham. It's irritating. Trek Dog, I hope that is good enough for you. And I promise I'll give a score tonight. Cesario JPN for $5. Brie Larson, I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him. Me looking at Chris Chibnall. I didn't think he's 50. I think he's 50, Brie. Yes. And that is one white guy I am willing to completely get rid of. By the way, I don't care who's what. I don't. But yeah, be the change you want to be, Chibnall. Be the change you want to be. Same thing we said to Rianne Johnson. Thank you, Cesario. 200 Watt Studio for $5. Gallifrey tickets went on sale a week before the last episode instead of April. GalleyCon knew people would be pissed and put tickets on sale early. When is it? 200 Watt Studios. When is the con and where? Because I didn't go to Gallifrey 1 down in LA. because of my mom, the mom stuff. I would definitely go to the next one if it doesn't get canceled because of the beer bug or delayed. You're alive. How's it going? How's your mom? Says AKA Blonded for $5. I am alive. Mom Roddick is doing much, much better. Quick update on Mom Roddick. She's getting her health issues taken care of. She has moved into a new place that has somebody watching her, making sure she gets fed and all this stuff. And it's great. And she even gets to keep her little dog Piper. So and I talked to her last night. She's doing good. She has no idea what I do. Like, not a clue. Neither of my moms do. I have two moms. I have an adopted mom and a birth mom. And neither of them have any clue what I do. The Board Observer for $1.99. Bottling up your voice and to use an essential oil sub. Bottling up your voice and to use an essential oil sub. Says the Board Observer. Oh, I don't know what that means. Elaborate, because it might have been something I've been referring to in the article. So go ahead and elaborate in the chat, the Board Observer. Just hit add Nerdrotic so I can give that the proper attention, because I don't know the context of it. I apologize. Care for the jelly baby for £5. Went to cancel my TV license and found that I can't because I watch live streams on YouTube. What the fuck? What? Wait a minute. How is that? Oh, because you watch it on TV? Then watch it on your tab, or maybe you don't have a tablet. Yeah. Can they get you for that? Do you have to pay how does that even equate? Why do you have to pay a license to watch me or to watch anybody else? Is it because of the TV? If it's plugged into a wall, can you call it a monitor? Is there a loophole in that one? Tell you what, Care for a Jelly Baby, just say, I don't have to pay my TV license because of the Brain of Morbius. Use the Brain of Morbius loophole. Christian Sudeth for $10. Hope you're having a good day, bud. What's your favorite episode of Doctor Who? The one that represents what you love about the show. Mine is the Smith era episode of with Van Gogh. The ending was so touching. My all-time favorite episodes in this order, and it's episodes. I mean, there's serials and then there's episodes, and but I like City of Death, Spearhead from Space, and Utopia. Utopia is my favorite modern era episode because the ending is just epic. The Return of the Master, how they explain, He washed up as a child on the Silver Desolation. Fucking the whole thing was great. I remember I was sitting on the couch, and the first time I saw that episode, I was watching it with my kid, and we're like, no. And oh my God, it was just great. Goosebumps. I love Utopia. Even the crazy people with their filed teeth and running around in a rock quarry, and but the music at the end, it's like, Murray Gold is so good. Everything about that episode just is great. That's the best Matt Smith episode. I still love the 11th Hour though. I think Spearhead from Space and 11th Hour are the two best introductions of the show. And like I said, I'm appreciating Matt Smith a lot more nowadays than I was even at the time. I mean, I've always liked him, but I think he's a great doctor now. It's moved into great doctor. By the way, I usually don't ask for things. But if anybody, I am a toy collector and I am looking for a 12th Doctor. I got to find the picture. It's an exclusive. It's very hard to find. So if anybody knows where I can buy one, it's a 12th Doctor, and it's Peter Capaldi in his burgundy jacket from season 10. And it was an exclusive to a show over in Britain, over in the UK. Big Chief 12th Doctor exclusive. Unless I was looking at a custom. It might have been a custom, but the guy was selling it on eBay, and I left it Yeah, there it is. Maybe it was a custom. No, it was sold as some kind of an exclusive. There we go. Yeah, it was a festival convention exclusive. Here it is. Here it is. I'll show you guys. If anybody sees that, email me at gary@nerdrotic.com. Again, I want to buy it. I'm not asking for anything for free. Here we go. Oh, why did it get cut off there? That sucks. Jesus Christ. There we go. So you can see it there with the glasses. That's what I'm looking for. There we go. Right there. And it's basically just you get a different jacket, but I need it. That's the one thing I'm missing. Okay, back to you guys. I just randomly thought of that. Okay. Travelers in Time for Australian $10. Full fat videos have an interesting take on the timeless child. The timeless children, I will check it out. I've never heard of full fat videos, but I will check them out. What's interesting about it? Travels in Time. Don't just tell me it's an interesting take. Tell me, like, do they like it? Do they not like it? I watched Flower Productions video where they were kind of using the same spin as the Access Media, that Chibnall gave the audience what they want, what they said they wanted when people were asking for more two-parters or more old villains. I think that's a disingenuous argument. As a matter of fact, I know it is. People were clear. A large portion of the fan base were absolutely clear. We needed better writing and less politics. Make up new monsters. I don't give a crap. But that has to start with good writing. You can't just, I threw a Jadoon and Cybermen in. So what? What did the Cybermen actually do? I actually saw a review said that was the best Cyberman episode he ever saw. I'm like, okay, if you only watch Jodie Whittaker's era, I would believe that argument. Are you kidding me? They walked around some corridors. They missed a bunch of companions, and they stood there. The Cybermen Time Lords stood there. They basically pulled their best Yaz. They did nothing. The Master did nothing. And we'll get to that ending in a second. Because there was tons, I'm sure you guys caught it. There was tons of symbolism in that ending towards the fandom. Java Bean for Australian $7.99. I was warned by a friend this week to be careful what you say to people. R.E. my opinion of current Who. Been a fan since 1981, but truly finished. In what context was your friend? I mean, were they looking out for you, or, be careful what you say to people? I mean, you always kind of want to be careful. You don't want to just walk up to somebody and go, F you, buddy. It's not a very nice thing to say. But yeah, I mean, your opinion is your opinion. You don't have to be careful about it. You just need to be respectful. But no, I that time has passed. There was a time where people were shamed for saying they weren't. They still are, but it doesn't land anymore. Saying they didn't like this series, or they didn't like a female doctor, or they didn't like the writing, or they didn't like the politics. Critical Drinker said it best in his video. Chris Chibnall proved every single one of his critics right. I was Chris Mays for $5. Do you think that Chibs will explain that the timeless child became the doctor when they regenerated into Hartnell to keep the numbering system? Probably. That still doesn't keep the numbering system unless the timeless child was 0. But there is, they might try something like that to keep the numbering system. But I want everybody keep in mind that the episode, and I'm not saying you were calling the episode this, Chris, is just reminding me. It's reminding me right now. It's the timeless children. So the Master was clearly that kid on the cliff, pushing her off. The master is going to be part of this too. Oh, they aren't done fucking with it. They might undo a lot of stuff, but the one thing they won't undo is the doctor is originally, supposedly, a little black girl now. Well, we don't know what the doctor was before it came through the portal. It could have been, I mean, we don't know. But that's stupid. It's stupid. So, yeah, it's like I said, it's Dr. How or Dr. Why now. It's not Doctor Who. Jodie Whittaker should have been given her own spin-off series based on Romana. She'd have been good for that. Romana was very different from the Doctor. Hire him for $5. Yeah, I mean, I don't think she's a very good actress. I just don't. I think she might be charming in real life, and maybe she's good at. And I haven't seen her in a ton of stuff, so I can't say anything. But as the Doctor, she's terrible, and she's getting worse. I think people were softer on the episodes because they saw some familiarity. They saw the Jadoon. They saw the Cybermen. So it started kind of feeling like Doctor Who to them. But just watch a Jodie episode. Go back and watch any classic episode from any era, and then watch a Jodie episode right after it. Does that feel the same? And it's in the eyes. It's in the eyes. The one commonality from William Hartnell to Peter Capaldi, showing the world weariness, the universal weariness of a god in your eyes. Being able to emote. That's the power of a good actor. And that not every actor needs to have that, but you need to have it for the Doctor. Bill Durkin for $5. You would like the No Agenda podcast. I will check it out. Bill. Is it on YouTube or is it on just iTunes? You could just answer in the chat, Bill. Doctor, what the actual fuck? Yes, exactly. Grobnob, exactly. 80s Grace Jones for the new female Doctor, says Captain Spire for $2. She had the look. Grace Jones couldn't really act, though. She was weird. She was good at being weird. I love Grace Jones. Absolutely love Grace Jones. She was good in the 80s. She wasn't very good in Conan. Let's be real. She wasn't very good in Conan. There are some women who could probably play the Doctor, but then again, it still fundamentally doesn't work. It doesn't work unless you write the Doctor like a female. And then the Doctor starts addressing stuff. But they think they answered all those questions by making the only way there's two ways to make the female Doctor work. You write her like a female, and you go through that whole process, which would take a whole season to do, which they didn't even bother taking 2 minutes on. Or you go back and destroy the canon to reinforce Jodie Whittaker. To reinforce Jodie Whittaker, you sacrifice 56 fucking years for a bad actress and bad writing. And the BBC allowed this. And I promise you, there are people who are involved with this show that are completely pissed off about this. They'll never say it publicly. Maybe some will be brave towards the end of their life, and they'll sneak it in their autobiography at the end. They're like, I'm really pissed what happened to Doctor Who. But, Hollywood has always been lefty, but generally entertained all sides till 5 to 10 years ago. What changed? Especially since many of the same people worked on these franchises when they were good with a broad appeal, says Michael Wolf for $10. 2016 changed a lot of stuff, but it was happening prior. And I think it was a trend. It was a trend started in 2015. Remember when the people were screeching at the universities and things were just getting insane about Halloween costumes and people screaming at professors, and it was a trend of entitlement. It was, and like this weird entitlement. And the thing is they project, so they call us entitled. The people who have supported this, we've always been, Doctor Who fans have always been critical of the show. They'll say that was a bad episode or whatever, but we've always loved it. There's always been a love. That love has been removed from the show itself. That love and care for its past and admiration. Now it's disdain and vindictiveness, and it poisons the narrative, and it's poisoning the fan base. And then they get mad at us for going, we don't like that. And instead of asking, wow, why is a very large portion of the audience not liking this? Why are our Rotten Tomatoes scores always low? Why every time there's a place where an audience can go and downvote Doctor Who, they do it? Why is that? No, they go, how did those Russian bots downvote Doctor Who? Man, those fans are racist. When are they going to be as smart as I am? When are they going to be as enlightened as us? Maybe someday. We got to keep teaching them. Hail, Gary. I am a supporter of Doomcock. You introduced me to his channel. Thank you. You're welcome. Figure you deserve some cash too. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Madcap Goblin, for the £5. And I fully support anybody who supports my friend Doomcock. And thank you very much. Yes, we do a show together, The Inquisition, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., depending, every Sunday. We're going to cover Westworld. I think we're starting a little later this Sunday because we're going to cover Westworld. But yeah, just keep an eye on our Twitter. But yeah, that's the main reason for the change is political sentiment changed and Hollywood freaked out after 2016. So it was getting bad before that, but then it just blew up in 2016 and it hasn't stopped. It hasn't stopped. How long do you honestly think Chibs will continue to get a pass from the BBC if the ratings keep sinking? One more season. KJ for $5. I think the BBC has a big problem admitting they're wrong. Now, I don't have tons of history with them. I'm just talking about them when it comes to this show. But it definitely reeks of an organization that's never had to try very hard. They kind of do what they want. They've got their funding source. And that does affect how you do business. If you don't have to perform customer service, if you don't have to service your customers, you get a little aloof. We don't need their money. I mean, we have articles being written right now that I just read that are stating viewers aren't that important. Do ratings mean that much? I mean, this is clown world. This is straight up clown world. Ugh. Hail, Gary. How the F could the BBC get away with showing child abuse in Dr. Woke? Nicholas Horton for £5. I don't think they noticed that. And considering that this is the network that employed a guy named Jimmy for a long time, I'm not that surprised, to be honest with you. I know they're trying to live that down, but at one point in the episode, they were trying to show this stunning, brave woman of science, Tecteun, who invented space travel and was able to extrapolate regeneration from a child. So we'll just show the child regenerating again and again. And maybe we'll just gloss over the point that you have to kill the person to regenerate. Maybe the kids won't understand that. Or maybe they're just so disassociated from their humanism, which it really seems like, that they just didn't notice that they were killing children over and over again. And they didn't think people who were critical of the show would focus on that. Because we did. We all did. And it gets constantly brought up, as it should. Now, I don't know how they put it in there the way they did. It feels like there might have been a scene cut out. I don't know. Gary, your voice is ASMR to me. No joke. Thank you. Lopez T, you're welcome. You're welcome, Lopez T, for $7.90 Russian. Is it rubles? Fried's Wide 2019, 5 pounds. Now that the only fam member left is Yaz, do you think they will treat her as a love interest for the Doctor? They've hinted at it already. Absolutely. They will. Now, they won't consummate anything. There won't be any scissoring in the TARDIS, but they kind of alluded to that towards the end. Was it? Yeah, it was towards the end of The Timeless Children, when Yaz is the one who grabs her and they look at each other longingly. Again, they're just writing the Doctor as a man, so... Few High for 20 pounds. Is it Few High? A license fee is not needed if you don't watch live/delayed TV or consume BBC programs on any streaming site/channel, irrespective of whether you have a TV bundle with the internet. I've canceled mine in anger. Well done. Well done. So let me repeat that real quick for those of you, those of us in the States who don't know. A license fee is not needed if you don't watch live/delayed live TV or consume BBC programs on any streaming site/channel, irrespective of whether you have a TV bundle with the internet. I've canceled mine in anger. Well done. I have canceled my Sling and my YouTube TV, both I used for this channel. I'm going to do everything a la carte now, but both of those have BBC America in the bundle. And I don't want to support the BBC in any way, shape, or form. So mine are canceled as well. Highly recommend anybody does that. There's other ways. There's other places you can go that don't have BBC America. So we also want to get to HBO Max. I got an email concerning HBO Max that we might be able to contact somebody. Hang on. Let me see here. Here we go. Hello, Gary, and this is from Scott. Hello, Gary. Do you think Warner/HBO Max would drop BBC's Doctor Who if we flood their contacts? We need a proper email expressing our disgust at the BBC for allowing the destruction of the franchise. Stress the ratings drop statement that we will not watch the program. Finally, we will not purchase any more Doctor Who products. Cheers, Scott. And here we go. I'm going to link this in the chat. HBO Max press contacts. I want to do this without showing my email. I got an idea. Here. This is better. Give me just a moment, folks, and I will give you all the contacts here. Thanks, Scott. Just give me just a second here. I got to crop this out. And there we go. Excellent. Let's push that up. Let's see if I can capture it. There we go. We've got HBO Max press contacts. We got Rain Falcon. There's her phone number right there. Raina.falcon@tumor.com. Alexandra Letier. There's their phone number. You guys can screen cap this. I will... Where can I post this up? I could probably post this on Twitter and the Facebook group. I stress be cordial with these people. Don't, you guys are, but I got to say this. Just understand that I have to say this. I'm not treating you like children. I know you're all adults, but basically I have to say this to cover my ass. So if somebody does cuss them out, I can say that I at least said that please don't do that. These people probably have no idea what's going on right now. But if we are if enough of us email them respective going, I'm really upset about what happened to Doctor Who, and we hear that you are in partnership with them now here in the States, and this is our only recourse right now because the BBC's not listening to us. Doctor Who was a 56-year-old franchise that had a long story tradition, and we feel it was taking over. The writing is subpar. The characterization is terrible. The show has driven off a cliff as far as the ratings are concerned. And, HBO Max is not going to care about the politics, but we got to find a very subtle way to work that in, that you want to please your entire audience. And I'm sure HBO Max wants to please their entire audience, but these are the people who made Watchmen. Remember that. But I also don't think they want another Game of Thrones on their hand on any level. Okay. And that's kind of what's going on here. This undoes the entire series. If I wasn't so dedicated to the classic series where I'm going to erase the modern stuff from my head. But if you're a new fan to this and you watch that, you're probably done. This ruins everything for me. Just like Game of Thrones season 8 ruined the entirety of Game of Thrones. And you might want to mix that in there. Hey, we really love what you did early on in Game of Thrones, and we realize it's not your fault, but it really fell off a cliff, and it's kind of the same thing. Want to be respectful. Corporate media relations. Dee Dee Myers is no longer there, unfortunately. Dee Dee Myers used to work for Hillary Clinton. She used to work for DC, Executive Vice President, Worldwide Corporate Communications and Public Affairs. Believe you me, Dee Dee Myers would not give a shit. As a matter of fact, she would fully support what's going on with Doctor Who. So it's a good thing she's gone. She's gone. So screen cap that if you want, and then I'll put it up later. Thanks for the email. I'm sure they're going to love that I put that out. But that's public information, folks. So there you go. Casey Osowski for $5. I always knew someone would kill Doctor Who, but I never thought it would be the BBC. The BBC from 10 years ago, I didn't think so either. This is a different organization. This is an organization that's clearly run by the state. They clearly have deep connections to the EU. And this is where it gets dangerous. And I talked about Disney earlier, when Bob Chapek was confronted about the political bias of the American Broadcasting Corporation, which is ABC, which is owned by Disney. And the problem this creates, because it has been criticizing the conservative party here in the United States consistently, and they are going to have somebody from their organization running for president. It almost looks like they were trying to poison the well on the other side to help their guy become president, using their giant corporation as a tool to influence the voter of this country instead of entertain people, so they can get their guy. And believe me, Disney wants Bob Iger to be president. Oh, hell yeah. Because that would be very helpful to Disney, and they could get away with a lot more than they already have. We would have a corporate CEO from Disney in control of information. If Bob Iger will never be president, by the way, never, million years, won't happen. But imagine a president from a corporation that controls information. That's not dangerous. That should almost make you unable to run. Almost, but not quite. This is like saying if I'm back. Please watch Ban the BBC video on YouTube, mate. Sadokar 7th Legion, I will. For £2. Captain Spire, thank you for the $5. Sadokar 7th Legion has become a member at the Jaloja level. Thank you and welcome in Jaloja. Sandman says run runner for Canadian $5. As a Canadian who has been paying for the CBC for left-wing crap for years, sadly, I don't see the BBC changing anytime soon. I doubt they will too. Yeah, I apologize. It's been I think I know what the problem is, and I'll fix it next live stream. Yeah, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. If they wanted a female-led show, have 12 vanish and the TARDIS engage a protocol to find the nearest genetic match, i.e. Jenny or Susan. Hashtag Hartnell first, says Cardwitch for $4.99. Brilliant. But they needed to change everything. And you guys know why. To score their virtue signal and woke points. And honestly, I'm of the belief that the BBC doesn't like Classic Who anyway. So if they broke the show and it died, they probably wouldn't care. I believe that. I believe they don't care. I believe that that this show only exists so they can push their agenda. They have given up on the franchise. And it's the defeatist attitude that tells me that. Like, it's impossible to please everyone. And, we were always going to have a hard time competing against Netflix. You're Dr. Frickin' Who. You helped Netflix gain prominence. Doctor Who was very important to Netflix in the early days. Lee Anthony Davis for £1.99. Thanks, Gary, for accepting me on your podcast group. Of course. Did I do that? What do you mean? Accepting me on your podcast? Oh, on the group page? Of course. Yeah, anybody? Yeah, come on. No problem. I have a Facebook page. It's where the Nerdrotics can go and hang out and chat and do stuff. It is the Nerdrotic Podcast Group. You can check it out. It's a group page. I have a Facebook page and a group page. I have a website, nerdrotic.com. I don't talk about it enough. I have a Patreon, Subscribestar. I need to fill out some paperwork. I haven't given them my 1099 yet, so I've got like 9 things to post on Subscribestar. And there's memberships too. But subscription is fine, or just hanging out. I'm okay with that. Have you seen the Peter Cushing Doctor Who movies? I have. They count in a way. They're weird, but I like them. Galley is Gallifrey 1, February 2021. Billy West. Okay, you mean for next year. Gotcha. Gallifrey 1, the one I just missed. Yeah, not surprised. I'll go to that one. Jonathan Spencer for £2. Thank you again. Travels in Time for Australian $10. Full fat videos are opposed to retcon. Good. I will check them out. Even if they weren't, I would still check it out. Travels in Time. Thank you for the Australian $10. Ashley Harmon. What's up, Ashley, for $5? I'm usually a glass half full kind of gal. It shocks me witnessing all the work get soiled. I don't get people who watch this and enjoy it. Why, Gary? It supports a belief system. It's simple as that. It supports a belief system. Check out Beware's video. Beware's video. Says Mr. Patulcha for £2. Is it Patlchu? Pataluche? Thank you again, Ashley. Thank you again, Mr. Pat. I'll just say Mr. Pat. And Tyrone Beard. So I have like a few videos to check out, so I'm going to have to go through the chat and write this all down, but that's fine. Tyrone Beard. I can talk, right? Hang on. Sip of Pete's for the working man. Gaz, did you get my Vegemite and badge in the post? Indeed, I did. I want you to keep an eye out on Instagram. By the way, I have an Instagram. Follow me. It's instagram.com/nerdrotic. And everything that comes in the toxic mailbag, we post on Instagram. Cheers. And I will show that off in a video soon, within the next week. Thank you, my friend. I don't know if I'm going to eat the Vegemite. My favorite Matt Smith episode is The Doctor's Wife because, for me, it gave a great take on the TARDIS's opinion on their relationship, says George Forrest Jr. for $4.99. I thought it was a brilliant episode, and I have that. It's right above me, hanging on my ceiling. I have the Doctor's Wife playset, that little TARDIS, and the Doctor like hanging right above my head. Andre Fantastique for Canadian $2. Kill the show so as to reboot without the lore. I mean, that would make sense at some point, and that's probably what they're going to have to do in the future. Unfortunately, I don't see them, like, say if they cancel the show and they take a 10-year break and they come back and they pick up where they left off. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they would reboot the show completely. I think it was an anomaly that we got a renewal where they kept all the lore and they've destroyed it now. So unless they completely undo it, no, the show will get canceled and there'll be a big long break. And the only way it'll come back is if the BBC signs off with somebody else, another production company. I think the BBC will be truly done with the show when it's done. And again, we're taking entertainment executives at face value right now, which is something you should never do. So, I mean, of course the head of the BBC is going to go, everything's fine. It's not fine. Believe me, it's not fine. But they're trying to figure out a way to keep their agenda in and keep the show going. The one thing they're not going to budge on is their agenda at all. Even if the Doctor or Ray was a man, everything would still be split because of the writing is bad. It's because they chose the characters first and wrote a story around that and not the other way around. Thacio for $9.99, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I would just say they would have a quicker hook if they were men. I believe we would still be in the same. I mean, the Capaldi era, people liked Capaldi. He was a charming actor. And that's proof that a good actor can cover up a lot of mistakes and people will put up with a lot of shit to see a good actor. And Jodie Whittaker is bad at her job and Chris Chibnall is bad at his job. And it's just a shitty show. That's it. Peter Capaldi was acting above what Stephen Moffat was writing for Series 10. And that's the only reason there was still interest in the show. But people were getting turned off with the politics in that show. There's videos on it that people have told me that. I was getting turned off. I wasn't completely turned off, but it was getting noticeable and annoying. Please, please, please take my money, Gary. So the BBC will never get it again. Hashtag RIP Doctor Who. Hashtag RIP Doctor Who. Bruce Landry, thank you for the Canadian $2. I appreciate it. Lady Gravemaster for $5. Afternoon, Gary. Have you read the opinion piece from Bounding Into Comics, Why Knowing Who Our Heroes Are Destroys the Agenda? Curious what you think. Who wrote it? Who wrote it? Let me check it out. I'm looking for it. It's by A.C. Graves. I don't know who A.C. Graves is. Hang on. Let's go figure. Yeah, I'll have to skim through it. We can read that in a little bit. Let me get some more super chatties in and we can go over that. Thank you, Lady Gravemaster. We will figure it out together, shall we? Zev for 25 PLNs. Thanks to you, I watched Modern Doctor Who this year and stopped at Husbands of River Song. They lived happily ever after. That's a good place to stop. I didn't hate that episode. But again, it answered something I didn't want the answer to. But River Song was kind of screwed up anyway. Good beginning, though. Rio's Newbie is a member at the Protomolecule level. Welcome, Rio's. I appreciate it. And thank you, Zev, for the super chat. Prepper Chris 1 for $5. I need some rumor control. I hear Seth MacFarlane is trying to buy Star Trek. Please, please, please tell me it's true. It's not true, Prepper Chris. Fortunately, it's not true. If Seth had the money to buy Trek and thought he could, maybe. He's that big of a fan, but he just got a gigantic check from NBC Universal to develop shows for them. So I'm sure he's focused on that. And right now he's focused on the Orville. And quite frankly, it's better. It's better than Star Trek. So we got the Orville. I wish it was true though, Prepper Chris, but it's not, unfortunately. Sadokar 7th Legion for £5. I have subbed on and off for years. From just a few hundred subs, my money goes up and down, but I pay to support when I can. Long live Cult of Frisco, says Sadukar 7th Legion. That's all good, man. Yeah, I do what you need to do, brother. It's all good. I appreciate, the Cult of Frisco. That goes way back. Way back. My first podcast was a Doctor Who podcast. It was The Time of the Doctor. I was sick. I did a podcast with my son in my downstairs office on Christmas Day, 2013, 10 days after I sold my comic store. I was a broken man when I did that podcast. It's on my website, nerdrotic.com. Search up Time of the Doctor. It's a terrible microphone. Jonathan Spencer for £5. Do you think that the BBC did this on purpose to jump on the Attack and the Assault fans bandwagon that The Last Jedi started? Jonathan, I do believe that divisiveness, they knew they were going to divide the fans and they weren't bothered by it. So yeah, I think they jumped on that bandwagon a little bit because they see a conversation as a conversation. They're talking about our show. It's got to help. And maybe, they don't have access to Disney data and maybe they weren't paying attention. I doubt they were. So many of these people do not understand fandom and don't understand, like, when something breaks with us, we're done. We'll move on to something else. Nothing is forever. And, they'll always have their hangers on. So what they probably do is choose to listen to the people just kissing their ass. And then they will, rationalize it in their head that everything's fine. Everything's fine. Because look, this person's telling me I'm awesome all the time. This one person. And let's ignore the huge channels that are criticizing us because they're all haters. Or, oh my God, what's the latest one I've heard? I actually hear this a lot, that our subs aren't real and all this garbage. It's like, oh my God, please don't start with that. They want to poison the well here, instead of just talking about what they like about the show. The constant argument for Star Trek Picard and for Doctor Who over the last 2 years is they did this in other shows. That's the first thing people go to. They did this in other shows. We're not talking about the other shows. We're talking about this one. What did you like about the Timeless Children? What particularly sets that episode above all the others? What's the point in that episode? Give me 5-minute section that you thought was just epic Doctor Who, and then you can compare it to something older and we can have a discussion. But just to go, well, they did this. Well, when they did that thing that you're reviewing, that random thing you're referring to in the older show, they executed it perfectly, or they didn't. I don't know. It depends on the show. But certain plot points, like when they talk about Star Trek Picard and all the violence that was in Star Trek The Next Generation, that's completely out of context. You're talking about violence that's surrounded by multiple episodes of inspiration and fun. It's violence that was spread thinly throughout 26 episodes of television, not 46 murders in 7 episodes. So stop with that. They did this in this episode. Yeah. You know what? Sure. It doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make it Star Trek. That's your example, though. That's your defense for Star Trek Picard. Oh, frackin' hell. It did it again. God damn it. I'm sick of this. Brian F. Gary, if you're looking for a Comic-Con, Niagara Falls Comic-Con is happening in June. Sylvester McCoy will be in attendance. Do it. Do it. That is the opposite side of the country for me. Brian, I think I'll think about it, Brian. I would love to see Sylvester McCoy, but that is a long ways away. But I'll think about it, Brian. And Prepper Chris, thank you for becoming a member at the proto-molecule level. I appreciate it. Whatever happened to Jenny, the 10th Doctor's daughter clone? His X-23, if you will. I feel like she would have been a better way to involve a strong female. Says Fergie Kruger for $4.99. Yeah, what happened to the Metacrisis Doctor? These are things that Russell T Davies left out there for other people to use, and they didn't use them. So thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Fergie. Thank you, Purple Chris. Brian F for $4.99. Gary, if you're looking, thank you again, Brian F. Sorry. Scottish Nerd for $2. Thanks, Modrotics. Keep up the good work. Yes, cheers to the Modrotics. Hey, what's up, Az? What's up, Az? Hey, if I wasn't on OBS right now, I would totally send you a link. But you and I need to do a live stream soon. I think, hey, if you want to come on Friday night tights, I might as well just ask you since we're here, if my freaking OBS isn't dying out every 2 seconds. As if you want to come on Friday night tights, it's my Friday show. It's kind of late for you though, so I don't know. But it's 5 p.m. Pacific time, day after tomorrow on Friday. If you can make it, cool. If not, then we can work out one where it's earlier for you if you want to come on and we can chit chat, because I think we need to do that. Subscribe to Heels versus Babyface. Great channel. Thanks again to the Modrotics, and thank you, Scottish Nerd. Warrior 64I for 20 Czechoslovakian pesos. I liked when it was over. Yeah, me too. I did like her being locked up in a Jadoon jail. Welcome to the proto-molecule level. Rusta V. I appreciate it. You'll ask your mom if you could stay up later. Okay, cool. Yeah, just don't be too noisy in your basement, you know. Us angry man babies. Yeah, the trolls coming in. Sorry, but thanks again to the Modrotics. They are just completely underpaid and underappreciated, but they are a lovely lot. So everybody get, F in the chat for the Modrotics, please. Can I get an F? Please. C Space 36 for £2.99. The Next Generation fans finally speaking out. So angry with Picard. Yeah, I understand. And that's C Space. Thank you for the £2.99. I understand you giving a show time. I get it. And I'm not arguing with anybody who, if you like the show, great. Fantastic. I'm just talking about the people who come at me and other people. And Robert Meyer Burnett's pointed this out too, is we'll point something out that we don't like of the show. Like, I don't like the fact that there's a bunch of murders. Well, they killed somebody in episode 4 of season 1 of The Next Generation. And there was a double murder in season 4 of Deep Space Nine and season 3. It's like, again, these were 26 episode seasons, and when they did that act of violence, it had impact. It meant something to the story because they didn't do it every fucking episode. I'm not saying it shouldn't exist. I'm saying the way it exists, the motivation behind it, the motivation behind what they do with Doctor Ho is political. It's a political motivation. It was not an organic, genuine narrative choice for the story, for the betterment of the character, to entertain the audience and surprise us. All that bullshit of giving the audience what they need and not what they want. That is a statement. I don't know who said that for the first time, but that is a statement that is applicable when it's spoken by a creative person. By somebody with talent, a POT. We talk a lot about the POCs, the people of color, the underrepresented people in entertainment. The most underrepresented person in entertainment right now is a person of talent, because there's not many of them out there. When a person of talent comes at a story, an original work, and wants to set up expectations and then subvert them within his original work, that is great. That is giving the audience what they need, not what they want. They're conflating that argument with an established franchise that has established canon that most of the writers before Chris Chibnall tried to work within. Again, they had a 50th anniversary. If there was any time to give us a doctor's name or give us a doctor origin, it would have been the 50th anniversary. But they decide to give us the doctor a name and an origin at the end of a 12th season of a 15-year-old second run of a TV show that just so happens to be one of the lowest rated episodes of the new TV show's history. And it puts the season average for this TV show in the bottom 5 of all time in an almost 6-decade history. What's the motivation for that? Was that story driven? Because if it was story driven, you think one of the doctors, one of Tecteun's, dead children would have screamed, "Help me," or said something. Tecteun. I'm going to do my Tecteun impression. Hang on. This is me acting. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm a thespian. Oh, wait, I'm going to do the little girl falling to her death. This is my representation of the first female doctor of color who was a cute little black girl. And you know what? Shame on you, BBC, for bringing a cute little black girl into this and getting her in this mess. And now she's probably going to get some crap on the internet from some dickhead. And then you're going to blame all of us. They're going to go, it's going to be Kelly Marie Tran all over again. Somebody's going to pop off to her, or somebody will make it. Probably won't even be one of us. It'll probably be one of them trying to make us look bad. And then it'll be all over I guarantee you this is going to freaking happen in the next 2 weeks. They'll find some tweet that's got an anime avatar that's Last Jedi Hater 6942. And he's going to say something mean to the poor, cute little black girl, who died like this, by the way, died like this. She looked so peaceful when she was falling to her death. She looks like she was just about to go to sleep. It was stunning and brave. Stunned. So yeah, somebody's going to give her shit, and then that's going to blow this whole thing up. And the BBC knows this. They know when they're doing this, they're going, well, oh man, this is really going to piss off the fans. I'm sorry, it's really going to piss off the fans. Not that anybody that works at the BBC. I think that's too working class of an accent. My accents suck. Okay, they just suck. I'm from California. What do you expect? But I can act like a young black girl falling to her death on a cliff. It's like she's going to sleep. Did they tell her that's what she was doing in that scene? Or did they just go, just lay there? What's the scene? Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's your regeneration scene, sweetheart. Okay. Fucking terrible. Chib is writing the 60th. God knows what'll happen. Is that Warrior 64I? Is that confirmed? If he's writing the 60th, he's going to have William Hartnell come back, and he was the one who murdered the girls, the children all over again. It wasn't Tecteun. In the 60th anniversary special, he's going to reunite all the male doctors, and each one of them is going to use their sonic screwdriver is going to have a little blade come out at the bottom, and each one of the 12 white male doctors are going to stab the little kids, and it dies on its 12th stab. So all the original doctors will kill all of the original doctors, and it wasn't Tecteun who killed them in the experiments. That's your 60th anniversary special, ladies and gentlemen, written by Chris Chibnall. Dr. Ho sounds like a better show already, says Java in Gaming. It does. I'm sure there's a Dr. Ho out there. Michael Discari for $10. Desacre. I'm sorry, Michael. Desacre. I don't understand the narrative of the left when the SJWs are the same thing. They're not. I'm a left-leaning liberal voter, and I agree with everything you're saying. Extreme SJWs are their own problem. Exactly. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. I am not a right-wing person. I am not a left-wing person. I like some points on either side. I guess the best way to describe me is I would be very happy to go to my to attend a gay wedding armed. Those are my politics. I want a Stunning and Brave Nerdrotic t-shirt. Oberon, you will have one. And on my way to that gay wedding, I don't want to pay taxes. So I want to go to the gay wedding with a gun, then go to target practice. I don't want to pay taxes. And yeah, that's pretty much my politics. I don't care about that. Don't tell me what to do. That's pretty much it. I won't tell you what to do. You don't tell me what to do. We're cool. Live your life. But taxation is theft. I want yes, you got it, Oberon. We have a new print run coming of the green ones. Quarter Black Garrett from the Crowder Show requested one, so we're going to do a print run. We also have a limited run beanie, Nerdrotic with an alien head beanie. Go to Instagram to take a look at it. Mrs. Nerdrotic put these together. They're awesome. Let me see if it's up there. So the way I guess I didn't plan on doing this, but the way we're doing swag and t-shirts is limited runs, and we're giving most of it away. We're not charging. So what we do is we do a giveaway on Swag Sunday on my Instagram. You guys are extremely generous. Okay. So like you're keeping the lights on here with the super chats, and the ad money's doing good. I don't want to, why is this on my Instagram? I'm going to have to show you now. That's not it. Hang on. Oh my God, it's Bree. I just want to be a person because I like acting like people. I don't care what a 40-year-old white dude says or likes about anything, even though I'm totally white and blonde and I'm the single most privileged thing in the United States of America. Like a pretty white girl who talks like this. And I grew up in California. And I hate it when people ask me if I'm from Sacramento, because I was like only there for till I was like 4. And then I grew up in LA. But then people ask me if I'm from Sacramento, and I say, yeah. And they're saying, hey, I'm from that neighborhood. But I only lived there till I was like 4 or 7 or whatever. I forgot what ages were, because numbers don't matter, especially in Doctor Who. I don't know. Oh my God, I so drove a Nissan and I empowered women. Nissan suck, by the way. Don't buy a Nissan. Toyota's a much better car. It's a much better buy. If you want a bland car that's going to run forever, actually Hondas are better. Honda will run forever. Everything depreciates. Never buy a new car. I'm going to go on a rant about this. Never ever buy a new car. Okay. It's the biggest waste of money of all time. Buy a used car. But you know, you want it. There are cars that you can find that don't lose value, like the Honda Element. I own one of those, and it doesn't lose value. I own an FJ Cruiser. Those don't lose value, but don't buy a fucking Nissan, especially since she did that commercial, which was equal to the Gillette. I don't know how I got. Oh yeah, because it showed up on my Instagram. That was a ADHD in like real time right there. Real time. Oh, she didn't put a picture up of it yet. Why not? Why not? Why not? Can you guys hang on a second? I'll run and go get it. In the meantime, I want you to look at my Instagram. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. come back. She is like oh my God. Should I give you guys the secret of getting the perfect Jody face? So anytime you want a good, this is a little inside baseball. Anytime you want a good nerdrotic thumbnail of Jodie Whittaker, just catch her when she's monologuing. And if you have a Mac, you can't do this on PC, but screen capping on a Mac is easy. You hit Shift, Command, and 3, and it can be like a fast shutter. So when she starts talking, she like contorts her face because she doesn't know how to act. So I just go like a machine gun. I go, and I get like 30 pictures of her like per frame. And then I just pick. And like usually every time I do that, I have a pick of 10 or 20 pictures that are brilliant of her making some weird facial contortion that looks god awful. I had a choice today of like 6. One where she's like, her neck is all veiny. The best one though, you guys got to watch her eating marshmallows with Yaz on the Doctor Who site. They had a marshmallow eating contest. And oh my God. You know what? I'm going to show you guys. When you see Yaz eating marshmallows, I want you to tell me what you're thinking. We'll do that in just a second, but let's check it out. How's that? And it's shiny. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's shiny. Little exozone stuff. So these will be given away on... yeah, we got this local dude. He is so good. He made the hats, and he's fast. So that's good. All right. Let's find that. Let's find Yaz eating marshmallows. It is hilarious. I don't know if I should be allowed to show this. I'll show it frame by frame so I don't get in trouble. All right, so here we go. Okay, hang on. Wait. That pretty much is what the series is to me. Watch Yaz eating. Wait. Not. Wait. I'm sorry. It just makes me think of something. It's coming. Oh, that was a really bad choice of words. That. Oh my God. Yaz can take a marshmallow, man. Like nobody. I think they give her extra time. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for that. I hope not. That was terrible. I don't know why they keep it up there, but that is like a thumbnail dream right there. I'm going to get thumbnails for the next year from that thing. So thanks, BBC. Thanks a lot. Geek Union for £2. Put in Jadoon prison for crimes against humanity. I completely agree. Oh my God. I'm watching your chat because your chat's on delay. So I'm watching your chat go by. Whew. Yaz can take a marshmallow. Suck a beach ball through a garden hose, that one. Interested in a full year of 2000 AD's 86 can post? Yes, Sadukar 7th Legion. Absolutely. Email me at gary@nerdrotic.com. Moving on, Marvel and Star Wars are dead. That FNT shout out about Berserk was great. I love it. Looking into other grim, dark sci-fi fantasy anime too. Billy Butcher, thanks for the £5. Yeah, hell yeah. My Berserk has arrived. I got to start reading it. My Berserk has arrived, and I will let you guys... I'll have somewhat of a review together, like my first initial thoughts of it on Friday. And, thanks to Mark the Cyborg. Hail Mark the Cyborg. Go subscribe to his channel. Marcus Aurelius Fortunatus for $10. He just gives me a donation. Doesn't have anything to say. You can put something in the chat, Marcus. You can. Marcus. I'm a cautious fellow. Telma ML for $4.99. I'm also an enlightened radical centrist with libertarian leanings. I'm for the abortion of all political parties and canon breaking in sci-fi. Yes, Telma. Good. Yes. Hail, Telma. Absolutely. I knew you were here for a reason because you're cool. All right, let's go. Modalicious. I quit episode 1 of Jody Who. It felt like The Class. Yeah, Class was bad. I gave that show a shot, and it was terrible. Shooting up here. Mutant Macrophage for Canadian $5. He just says, keep it up. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Gary, what to do in San Francisco in for one day, says Echo Watt for $2. Eat. There's the tourist stuff. Walk across the Golden Gate Bridge. That's cool. So there's parking lots on either side. And if you come in during a weekday, or you can take a bus there, or an Uber, you can Uber to the parking lot. And you can walk across the Golden Gate Bridge. You got a beautiful view of the city, and it's excellent. When you are done with that, you can go to, is it Fogo de Chao? Fogo de Chao, which is pretty good. It's like a Brazilian steakhouse. I think it's called Fogo de Chao, something like that. My favorite restaurant's gone. It was called Chow. It was in the Castro, and it's freaking great. It's gone. So I don't have eat there. The food's pretty good. There's lots of little French restaurants. They're amazing. Go to Foreign Cinema. Go to Foreign Cinema. So walk across the Golden Gate Bridge, then come back, and there is a restaurant. This is now my new favorite restaurant because Chow's gone, and it's on Mission. It's in the Mission, and it's called Foreign Cinema, and they play movies while you're eating fine French dining. And it's like a drive-in. So you have a drive-in speaker next to you, and you're eating like get the steak. It's good. And I was watching for Valentine's Day. Mrs. Nerdrotic and I went there, and we watched Austin Powers. They show cool movies. Sometimes they'll show like, classic films like Bridge Over the River Kwai, or what do we see? Oh God. What's the Humphrey Bogart movie, and I'm blanking on it. Casablanca. Saw Casablanca there. Or you can see Austin Powers, and I've seen Pink Floyd The Wall there. They show Star Wars there. Just check out what movie they're going to play. The food's great. Foreign Cinema. And the Mission is cool. If you like to drink, there's a lot of good bars there. It's the Mission District's cool. It's close to my house. And the Mission used to be bad. Like 16th and Mission, there would be needles and hookers and homeless people without their pants on, and naked people on unicycles selling crack. And it was fucking barter town for Mad Max. It's not that bad anymore. It's that bad downtown, but the Mission's cleaned up because all the gays moved to the Mission and the tech people. So the gays moved out from the Castro. They're still in the Castro, but they they started buying apartments, refurbished apartments in the Mission, and because the pricing went up and the places got nicer. And then the tech bros started moving there, and Zuckerberg lives in the Mission. He owns like 5 or 6 houses to surround his one house, where amazingly enough, he's against the wall in our border, but he's got a giant wall around his house. And I guess he's against guns, but he has a bunch of armed security guards. Weird, huh? Strange. Fuck Mark Zuckerberg. But you know what? I hope he's thankful, because I hope he's grateful that a guy who couldn't get laid to save his life, so he invented a website, made him $1 billion. Is this a great country or what? Seriously. Bill West for $2. Do you miss my previous super chats, or did I miss one? No, Billy, I'm going up right now to see the ones if I missed any. That's what I'm doing right now. So I probably did, because it probably jumped on me, but I will get to yours right now, bud. Thanks. Looking for Bill West. Bill West. Telma, she puts up a cupper that says tired. Thank you, Telma, for the $1.99. Cop Duel Renegade for £5. We can only hope that the Terry Nation estate is on our side and they don't allow the BBC to use the Daleks or anything they hold the rights for. That's why we're getting a Dalek episode this Christmas, so they can maintain the rights. What happens if they're not showing an episode of Doctor? It must be while it's running. Like, if Doctor Who is running, they have to put the Daleks in once a year or they lose the rights. That's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty smart deal by the Terry Nation estate. Chibnall and the BBC make me ashamed to be British, says Drunk Rick for £2. Thank you. There's Bill West right there. Galley is Gallifrey 1, February 21st. I read that one, Billy. Is there another one? There might be another one, Bill. I'm sorry. I automatically call you Billy West from Howard Stern. Sorry, I call you Billy. Your name's Bill. My bad. Was there another one, Bill? I don't see it. Maybe there's one after that. I'll check. Drunk Rick, thank you. Bill West, thank you. Jonathan Spencer, thank you. Travels in Time, Ashley. Hail Telma. Yeah, I don't see another one, Bill. I don't see. I read that one about Gallifrey 1. I did read that, Bill. But it might, you know what? Maybe it was when the OBS jumped. I'm not sure. Gwyn Adams for £2. Hail, Gary. Think you missed my super chat earlier. Adrian Escobar for $5. So if I pass up a super chat, I don't mean to. Let me reset that. The listing skips. So at the end of the show, I always go back up. And if I do miss it beyond that, it gets made up in my super chat square up, which I do separately, which are always on Nerdrotic Live. And I give all the questions proper time. And it's better than rushing through the end. And, you know, because sometimes I'm on a time limit. I'm not on one today. So but yeah, I mean, I just don't want you guys feel like you have to spend. You could tell me in the chat. You don't have to spend money to. I feel bad. You know, I don't want you to spend money reminding me of a super chat, especially when I'm not done reading them. So, thank you, Adriana Escobar. A Siri of Mullenbone for $5. If you like Berserk, you need to get into Elric of Melbourne by Michael Moorcock. It's really dark and gritty. Well. I mean, this isn't the one by Michael Moorcock. This is the one they've done. You mean like this? Oh, yeah. I've got all the Elric. I've got the, I saw, I was aware of Elric when I was a kid. So Elric was originally published by Pacific Comics. So I used to go to the store where Pacific Comics was born. So I used to bug those guys when I was a kid. So Elric was one of the few Pacific comics I didn't read. I always picked them up. So I watched a Razor Fist video one day, and he recommended Elric, and I agree with Razor Fist on not everything, but most of his stuff. I mostly agree with him on a lot of things. So I appreciate that he's a big Daredevil fan. Daredevil, the Frank Miller Daredevil run is my favorite run in all of comics of anything ever. So I trust his taste when it comes to comic books. So I checked it out, picked it up, and by gum, it was fucking good. So you're damn right, Siri of Melonbone. Good shit. Uncorrupted by Hollywood. I'm almost happy that they haven't made. I think they're gonna do something, but that would be impossible to do. You think Lord of the Rings is hard? Elric would be hard. I mean, that is a completely different world. You can't go shoot that in New Zealand. You know what I mean? You'd have to shoot that in, I don't know where. You tell me, Siri. Christy Solis for a pound. Thank you very much. Okay, Gwen, I'm gonna go back up and look for your super chats now. I'm in the process of looking over missed ones. So give me just a moment. Trek Dog, Cesario, got that one. AKA Blonded, The Board Observer, Care for a Jelly Baby, Christian. Sorry for the silence. That's why. There we go. Hail, Gary. Bet they backpedal to say the Doctor only took the name the Doctor when he was Hartnell. So technically, he will still be the first Doctor. That might hold up, Gwen, except for Ruth. So Ruth is clearly going to have to come after Hartnell. Well, depending on the look of the TARDIS, and I'm going off the top of my head, it would have to be after the third Doctor, right? Because the TARDIS had a different sign on it. Did it have the what is it, St. Anthony's? I can't remember. It's a Saint something or other badge that Matt Smith's on it. I'm blanking on it. St. John's or something like that. I can't remember because I'm going through live stream brain fart right now. But yeah, Gwen, there's a lot of ways that they'll try to rationalize, and that's what it is. It'll be a rationalization. Fans aren't going to buy it. Fuck them. They're going to be backpedaling and rationalizing for the next year and a half because what they're experiencing right now, Gwen, is the last of, what's the best way to put it? The last ounce of caring anybody has for this show, and it's coming out in pure emotion. And this is over its past. It's not over its future. This is like, did you really? I mean, you already shit on our future. Did you really need to shit on our past? That was just a fucking mean, vindictive, fucked up move that they didn't need to do, but they did it anyway because they don't care. It shows you anybody who cares about the franchise would not go back and fucking fuck with it fundamentally. It's one thing to add special effects and, Jabba the Hutt and making Greedo shoot first. And it's a whole other thing to take your main character and completely fuck him over because you have a problem with the fact that the Doctor was white for so long in a country that was predominantly white forever. You don't need to feel guilty about that. You know what? But you can take future Doctors and make them whatever the fuck. You already made it one into a girl. Guess what? It landed flat in its face, just like I said it would, just like everybody else said it would. Go ahead. Fuck with the future. Most of us were like, okay, fine. Jodie sucks. Chibnall sucks. It'll be over. And maybe we'll get a new Doctor. But that was hypnosis. We should have known better. I should have known better. Guess what? Even if they make the Doctor a dude again, which they probably will, it won't be better. It'll just be woke with a dude. It's still the BBC. It's time to be done. And this goes beyond Chris Chibnall, honestly. Piers Wanger's got to go too. Anybody who's backed this decision's got to go. They're not gonna, but I can say what I want. I'm just going over to make sure I didn't miss anybody else's. There we go. Robert Atkinson for $2. Wait a minute. Miller Daredevil over more Swamp Thing? Yes. Barely, though. Barely. And the only reason for that, Robert, is probably nostalgia. Because I experienced that one first. I experienced that one in real time as a 12-year-old. So that's like the perfect age to read that stuff. And when I was reading Frank Miller's Daredevil, I had never read anything like that before in my life. And I discovered Swamp Thing after that because I was a Marvel guy first. Yes, Daredevil to me is I like it more. Am I going to say it's better written? I don't know. I also prefer The Dark Knight Returns to Watchmen. Always have. Watchmen's great. Doesn't make it any less great. But I prefer The Dark Knight Returns to Watchmen because it's just done with Batman. That's all. It doesn't have to make sense. My favorite run of an artist is John Byrne's run on Fantastic Four. That's just because, it was when I was a kid. I was reading it. I loved it. But dude, more Swamp Thing is genius. And I have it. It's genius. And it's too bad the show decided to go a little wokety woke too. A lot. Love your content and channel. Hope this helps a little bit. By the way, will you be doing any future chats with the Critical Drinker? Absolutely. I think, are you still out there? Or did you go to bed? I think, wouldn't it be great if Az and Bowles Trek and the Critical Drinker and I got together for a Doctor Who discussion? I think that would be good. Maybe it might not be on my channel. It might be on like Bowles Trek's channel. So keep an ear out for that, okay? I would love to do something on my channel too. There he is. He's waving. Yeah, I think we should talk to the Critical Drinker and Bowles Trek. I think that would be lots of fun. I think we should make that happen sooner than later. And look at Heels versus Base. Hey, I gotta knight him. Hang on. There you go. Don't ban half my audience, okay? Just kidding. Thank you, Corey S, for the $5. It is much appreciated. And Robert Atkinson, I can't argue against more Swamp Thing. I have no argument other than pure nostalgia. That's not logical at all. I know. But cheers. Cheers, Robert, for bringing up the great Alan Moore knows the score. Come on, you got to know what that's from. Alan Moore knows the score. George Peter Gatus. Hey, thanks for making that animation, George. That is awesome. Mrs. Nerdrotic should be in contact with you. Why aren't your comments showing up? They're showing up now. I will check. I will see if you got blocked or timed out for something. I don't know why that would happen. George, thanks for that animation, and I will look into that. I can't do it right now, but I'll do it right after the live stream. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know why your comments are being... that's lame. Yeah, that's not... That's not good. That's not good. I'll DM you on Twitter, George. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to wrap it up. It's been 2 hours, 30 minutes. We've had, it's been fun. It's been fun. We had, again, a lot of viewers for a random time. Sorry I'm late on this one, but I had to go to the bank today. I did a bunch of bank stuff. So I'll be live again tomorrow, probably tomorrow night, finally, with the Mark Zickery interview. But it's going to be, I'm going to do a night one for my Brits, so the Brits can get something in the morning. And I have an interview with Mark Zickery, who is a Star Trek writer. He's also the creator of Space Command. It's about 45 minutes, and I'm going to embed it in a live stream. So I'm going to be on before and after the interview, and we can discuss it. And I'll be in the chat during the interview if you want to ask me any questions. And so do tune in for that. I don't know what the time is yet, so pay attention. Nerdrotic.com. I have my live stream schedule on the right-hand side. I'll also announce it on Twitter. Of course, Friday Night Tights is coming up. I have no idea who the guests are. I'd love to have Az on if he wants to come on. And I'll have the guest list probably by tomorrow. And that starts at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And that's in association with Geeks and Gamers. So we got Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. We have Odin. We have Comics Division and special guests. And of course, the Inquisition will be on Doomcock's channel this Sunday at probably 7:45, something like that. And we'll be covering Westworld. So I'm going to do a quick review of Westworld before I get on the show, because I'm not going to be able to do one after or the next day. So I want to get something out. So I'm going to probably do like a real quick take on Westworld on my channel. And then I'm going to jump over and go to Doomcock's. And listen, Westworld is a show I have been covering. It's one of the oldest things I've covered on this channel. I know there's only 2 seasons, but the show came out in 2015? I mean, so it was early on. It was the first video I got 1,000 views on, was a Westworld review. I don't know. Season 2 sucked. Season 1 was great. Season 2 was woke garbage. So hopefully, I have a feeling Season 3 will probably be the latter, but I hope I'm wrong. What are your thoughts on Warhammer? One of my favorite fantasy sci-fi grimdark works. Would you love to see it? I would love to see your take on it sometime. Over 30 years of lore. Thanks for everything, brother. My favorite YouTuber. Peter, you're awesome. Thank you, Peter DeRosa, for $9.99. I only know Warhammer through special ordering it for customers at the comic shop. I know little to nothing about it, but I'm willing to learn. A lot of people, it's got one of the most passionate fan bases ever. And it seems to be pure, free of the SJW progressive, whatever the fuck's going on, and may it forever stay that way. But yeah, I don't know anything about it other than I sold it, to my hobby customers. It looks cool. Nothing bad to say about it. All right, everybody, have a great day. I will see you tomorrow night. And, I'll be making a video too. I've got a couple of Doctor Who articles I want to go eviscerate. And yeah, that should be out tomorrow. So everybody have a great night. And thanks again for watching the last video and making it a big old success. And I appreciate that. So remember, kids, not all who wander are lost, except for Chibnall.